Lavenza, might I ask a favor of you? I'm not normally one to pry, but Flamine has been oddly distracted ever since you came back to tell us of your travels in the first. Would you go and see if she's alright? Ooh, I think this might be different with the NPCs. I confess there is not a great deal I can do myself, but I am no less determined to do my part, which is why I have focused my efforts on recruiting others to join our cause. Okay, they are saying something different. You needn't concern yourself with affairs here in Eorzea. The situation at the Gimlet Dark is well in hand thanks to the Alliance, and our efforts in containing potential primal threats have proven more than effective. Well then. I mean, that's nice to hear, but at the same time, it's kind of like, so I'm not that useful anymore? Mrs. Krall has apprised us of the Archon's present and unexpected situation. You may rest assured we will support her in any way we can to keep their bodies safe. In Coltonay or Coltonet or whatever. With Riol now out in the field, I was asked to return to make up for his absence. Alas, Hori and the others were unable to accompany me. I forgot where they were. I mean, if anybody has ever actually said. Old enemies, new threats. Kryle is glad for your return, though it remains to be seen if she has glad tidings to share. Lavenza, my, what a pleasant surprise. If you've come to inquire after the Archons, fear not. Master Matoya's treatment has proven effective in stabilizing their corporeal ether. We mustn't grow complacent, however. Potent though these magics may be, they are not without limits. We can only hope they afford us enough time for the Crystal Exarch to complete his work. If only we could go with you to the first and help. Pardon the interruption, but I came bearing urgent news. Aha! Ah, Lavenza. It has been far too long, my friend. And again, I love going through this now, like New Game Plus and all within a short time period. Because I'm confident that when I first did this, I had no idea who this dude was. Forgive me, I don't believe we have been formally introduced. Maxima, former Garlean ambassador. I remain here in Eorzea under the auspices of Commander Aldin, offering what counsel I can in the hopes of resolving the present conflict with the Empire. Ah, yes. I've heard stories of a defector from Garlemald. But never mind that. You said you have urgent news? Indeed. As you may have heard, the Imperial capital is in turmoil, and a sizable portion of the Garlean forces have been recalled from the Gimlet Dark. With their numbers so greatly diminished, the main host of the Alliance has withdrawn, leaving the Alamegan resistance to keep watch over the border. And it is there we have welcomed the most unexpected visitor who claims that this de-escalation may belie growing dangers and unforeseen threats. Commander Aldin has arranged for an impromptu meeting to discuss these revelations. He has also requested a representative of the Scions attend as well, though it was clear to whom he wished I extend this invitation. Well, yeah, at this point, kind of who else would it be other than Kryle and Tataru? It would seem time is of the essence. Well, You'll not be attending this meeting alone. Though I am not as well versed in the affairs of city-states as our comrades, I see no reason to burden a single scion with all this. Yes, of course. Then we must make for the Alamegan quarter with all haste. Well, what are you waiting for? Get going, you two. Yeah, I could see Kral, being the representative for the Scions, but Tataru is like the glue that holds together the Scions, but she's not, I think, experienced enough with diplomacy and all that type of stuff, I think, to be... I don't know, though. I mean, she may have the knowledge. I don't know that she has the confidence. Don't worry about the others. I'll keep an eye on them while you and Kral are away. Okay, so Alamegan quarter. So who is this? Because they said it was like an unexpected guest or something. So who would that be? .2. It might be. I was just thinking, is this the introduction of the Sorrow of Werlet? And maybe it's Gaius? Because all of that stuff is in Porta Praetoria or whatever, like where you pick up the quests and everything. Much has changed since the first time we set foot in this city. Now we strive to preserve their freedom rather than reclaim it. But we've no time to reminisce. We mustn't keep the commander waiting. Commander Al-Din awaits us in the royal palace, if you would follow. Or if you would follow me. Yeah, so it is Gaius.
They're here, Commander.
And I, for one, am grateful that they are. Told you've been busy since our paths last crossed at the Gimlet Dark. Not that I understand half of it. When the Scions spoke of other worlds, I'd struggled to describe what I pictured. Mayhap things would seem clearer were I to hear the tale from your own lips. But I'm afraid the situation will not afford us that luxury. I trust you two require no introduction.
We meet again, hero of Eorzea.
Gaius is another villain that, well, he actually has kind of a
Must we
redemption
repeat
story.
this ridiculous display? I pose no threat to you, though what I come to warn you of very well might.
But I like him.
Had he meant to do us harm, I hazard he would have kept to the shadows, and brought more than 2 companions. We need not pretend to be the best of friends, but I hope we can put aside our differences for the present.
As you are doubtless aware, Sir Estinian and I cooperated to rid the world of Black Rose in your absence. Our journey together took us as far as the Imperial Palace, where we witnessed Emperor Varus meet his death at Xenos' hand. Being the sole witnesses to this crime, and in no position to defend our innocence, we were then forced to flee, each pursuing his own avenue of escape. When we were later reunited, Estinian claimed to have encountered an unfamiliar kind of machina during his flight, but to me his description seemed anything but, and upon further investigation I found that I was right. The Empire is developing a new Ultima weapon.
What, that Allagan monstrosity, created to vanquish primals, with which you yourself once thought to conquer Eorzea?
The same. In my foolishness, I sought to harness its power, and became the Ascian's pawn in so doing. But you know as well as I how that tale ended. The weapon itself, excavated from beneath this very city, was destroyed ere we could fully unravel its secrets, and that should have been the end of it. But unlikely as it sounds, the Empire's efforts to recreate it have somehow borne fruit, primarily through secret research conducted by the 7th Imperial Legion, it would seem.
Wait, the 7th was all but annihilated at Cartano, along with its legatus.
Indeed. Few survived. The 7th, as it is now, has little in common with the Legion led by Vandanis, and its leadership has changed hands several times since. Precisely how this project has continued despite such turmoil, and under whose auspices, remains a mystery. What we do know, however, is that a number of prototypes have been produced, and that one of them is on its way to Eorzea. We attempted to stop it, but it was all we could do to slow its progress, so we resolved instead to bring you warning.
And right glad are we that you did, though it soundly dashed our hopes that tensions might ease at last.
As it is, we've begun to strengthen our presence in the Gimlet Dark, and are assembling a force to meet the coming threat. A force with you in its vanguard, I hope. Before you say anything, I know full well you have pressing concerns of your own. Your comrades remain in peril, and I would not ask you to forsake them. But the fact remains that you, and you alone, have faced the Ultima weapon, and emerged victorious. We need you. And so, when the time comes, if your comrades can spare you, I bid you lend us your strength. I've assigned an officer to await your word.
The Ascian's downfall was to be the work of my remaining days, but it was my hand that kindled these flames, and I cannot allow them to spread any further. I will do what I must to see this mistake consigned to history once and for all, even if it means begging your aid. The Fates will enjoy the irony, even as I endure the ignominy.
I too shall make for the border and offer my skills, meager though they seem in such company. Mayhap we shall meet there anon.
Though we can ill afford to ignore the coming of a new Ultima weapon, our friends' plight grows ever more precarious, and none save you can join them in the first. I only hope you are not forced to make a choice.
This is interesting because I don't know, outside of A Realm Reborn, where the trials are, I think all of the trials are directly incorporated into the MSQ, like Heaven's Word, Stormblood, and now Shadowbringers. They're not really. You know, you don't unlock the various trials through the MSQ. Here, you kind of unlock the ability to start the trial, but that's probably true of all the previous ones as well. You know, you have to get to a certain point of the MSQ, and they mention it at some point. But this one feels almost, I mean, particularly because of the type of threat, feels like this should be a part of the MSQ, but it's actually a side quest. And like in this case where we're just focusing on the MSQ, it almost feels wrong not to dip into that as well. But yeah, I have no plans of actually going back through the Sorrow of Wurley, at least not right now, maybe sometime later. It's a great storyline. Yeah, I think easily the best one out of all of the trial storylines. But yeah, I found that interesting that they so overtly introduced it through the MSQ, because I think even Stormblood, it was just Tataru talking about, like, mentioning, hey, you know, I think I've got a new way of making us money or whatever with Soroban, I believe it was. You know, and it's very just kind of like a quick little aside, versus this is like bringing a bunch of characters together saying, hey, this is going on, it's a big deal. And Kryl is even like, you know, these are almost like equal threats going on. You know, I hope you don't have to make a choice. But yeah, anyway, a really good story, really great fights. Again, I've talked about it before, but I'd really like to do these fights on Extreme, because I haven't done any of them on Extreme yet. So that might be something I work on after I finish up the story. But yeah, for anybody that hasn't done the Sorrow of Wurley storyline, definitely do it, because it's phenomenal. The ending to it is, I think, potentially only second to, you know, the Shadowbringers MSQ. It's that good. Anyway, let us continue. As ever, the way forward is paved with difficult decisions. We can ill afford to... It's like turning towards something that wasn't in camera view, and then by the time I turn it, it looked like it was already over. We can ill afford to ignore the threat of a new Ultima weapon, but with each passing day, the plight of the Scions grows ever more perilous. If you cannot stay for a debriefing on the Ultima weapon, I will not stop you. If you cannot stay for a debriefing on the ultimate weapon, I will not stop you. I also ask that you confer with me before returning to the first. I don't get what she's trying to say with the... To me, it almost seems like if you feel you must stay for a debriefing on the Ultima weapon, I will not stop you. I only ask that you confer with me before returning to the first. That's how I would get that. I don't know. Anyway. It just seems like weird wording. Which is not entirely... I mean, Kryl's not usually the one with the weird wording. That's Urian J. The way home. Kryl can see the steely resolve in your eyes and suspects she knows to where duty calls you. I take it you're ready to return to the first? Then I would ask that you apprise the others of recent events here in the source. Namely, Xenos' return and the development of a new Ultima weapon. As for their bodies, you may assure them Master Matoya and I will continue doing what we can to keep their corporeal aether stable. Safe travels, Avenza. I hope to see you and the other Scions soon. And then walk through me. Everybody is so rude. And at her height, you think she was trying to get a look at something. But I've got pants on. So. Alright. I mean, we know all Lalas are perverts. Little Alpha. He's like my go-to minion. But once I changed my character's name to Lavenza, I figured it only appropriate that I have a butterfly with me. So, and for those that don't get the reference, play Persona 5. It's excellent. You've come at a most opportune time, my friend. I've made something of a breakthrough in my research on the soul, and a means to return the Scions home. I trust you too have been making good use of your time? Ill tidings from the source, you say? Then I will summon the others, that we might all be apprised of the situation.
Now that we are all here, what news from the source?
Death and destruction. Same old, same old.
A new Ultima weapon. We must count ourselves lucky that Gaius has pledged his assistance.
While this is indeed a worrying development, I think the state of the Empire as a whole greater grounds for concern. With the Emperor slain and Xenos returned, it is impossible to predict how matters will unfold in Garlemald. The Ultima weapon may be but the first of many unpleasant surprises.
The situation beareth closer observation, of that there is no doubt, and doth compound our need to return unto the source.
Then let us address that issue. Our long search for a means to see you safely home may well be nearing its conclusion. Thanks in large part to Urianger and Beklug's invaluable insight, we have succeeded in fashioning a vessel for the journey.
We set out to create a crystalline container retaining the more useful properties of white auracite, but without its regrettable limitations. And after a good deal of trial and error, we made one. An ark for soul and mind both, that will allow your incorporeal self in its entirety to be ferried between worlds. A spirit vessel, if you will. However...
Though the vessel is possessed of the requisite qualities to hold mind and memory, it wanteth yet for a means to receive of them. For that, we must needs imbue it with the Exarch's innate gift.
A gift that lives on only through the blood of the Allagan Emperors, which certainly does not flow within auracite or any other crystal.
Just so, milady. The blood serveth as a conduit of sorts. In its absence, memory cannot pass from mind unto mind, nor from flesh unto crystal.
That being the case, we must either alter the process of inheritance so as to require no such thing, or determine a means by which my blood may permeate the vessel. I am hopeful that the records found within this tower will yield the knowledge we require to pursue one or the other of these avenues.
As well you should be. The Allagan's body of etherological research is extraordinary. I can scarce believe it the work of ages past. But its underlying principles are not so very different from those of my own field of study. Given time, we will find the answers we seek.
It must be great for Beck Lug to get research from another world.
I know that you can ill afford to wait, and it pains me that I must ask you to do so. I can only reaffirm my promise to you that a solution will be found. Whatever it takes, I will see you safely home.
My apologies.
I do hope you haven't come to tell us that mortal peril fast approaches.
No. I had hoped to speak with the Warrior of Darkness. But there is no need to cut short your meeting on my account. I will be waiting outside.
Why not speak in here? She knows I don't mind. Unless she didn't want to.
Perhaps I might accompany you. Though I am woefully ill-qualified to assist in the Exarch's research, I may yet be of some use to Lena.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if Y'shtola wasn't there, I'd be like, screw the rest of you, I'm gonna go hang out with Lena. But it's like, you know, weighing the waifus. Thank you for watching this video. Tonight we finished up 5.2, and it was, I mean, as good as, you know, Shadowbringers is. It's just really good, and this one had really good reveals at the beginning and at the end of it. So yeah, it's so enjoyable, so good. There's really not much else that needs to be said. But yeah, I mean, we're coming up on the end. You know, only 3 more patches to go, kind of 3.5. But it's all been good, and I look forward to finishing this off, and then, of course, getting into Endwalker when that comes out in a few months. But as much as I enjoyed this, I hope you all have as well. And if you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to come join me in whatever adventure I happen to be on, the link to my Twitch is in the description down below. So thank you again for watching, and I hope you have a good one.